Hi, I'm Brad Williams.
Cliff.
Chad.
Mark.
Do you guys value your education? Not only for you, for your family, your wife and kids? Do you like to sleep sound at night, knowing that you're safe in your own home, in your own town? Do you like to have a job where you have security, you know that your job's going to be there tomorrow? And do you like knowing that there's a low unemployment rate in your state? How about a low cost of living so you're able to save money? How about travel or enjoy the four seasons? I'm Tyler Stevens, and today I'm here to tell you guys why you need to move to the state of Iowa. We're going to talk about Iowa's great education system, the crime rates, the jobs and the economy that are in Iowa. We're going to talk about the cost of living, its central location, and how it's ideal for traveling in the four seasons. So let's talk about education first. Education is the foundation for success in anybody's life. Without a good beginning education, it's hard to get very far at all. I'm a product of an Iowa education myself. I went to high school in the state of Iowa. The whole time that I was going through school, our student-teacher ratio was about 20 students for every one teacher, which made it very comfortable, easy to get help if you weren't able to understand. Teachers were extremely friendly with everybody. It's just a very comfortable, conducive learning environment. Consistently, Iowa is in the top 10 in the nation for its education system. According to the Iowa Department of Education, Iowa's class of 2009 that just graduated last year, they had a graduation rate of 87%, which means for every 100 high school 12th graders or seniors, 87 of those graduated. That's not to say that the other 13 didn't graduate. They just didn't graduate within the prescribed time along with all their other classmates. Next, we're going to talk about crime rates or lack thereof in the state of Iowa, as you'll soon see. According to FBI.gov, in a report released, over the span of 2007, there was only 295 violent crimes in the state of Iowa. Chad, you say you're from Minnesota. Go ahead and turn over your papers. What was the total crimes that were in Minnesota?
318.
318. So Iowa's got you beat. Mark, how about you?
688.
688. That's almost 3 times as many as Iowa. Brad, you're from California, right? How about them?
533.
Got you beat too. Cliff, what about you?
501.
501. Well, it sounds like Iowa's got all you guys beat. Like I said, I spent the first 19 years of my life living in Iowa. I was born and raised there. I was in a small town, but I've traveled all over the state of Iowa. In my entire 19 years that I lived in Iowa, I don't think I ever once saw any sort of violent crime or anything like that. The worst thing that I ever saw, if you could even consider it as a crime, is high school kids TPing all their friends' houses and stuff like that before a big game, football games, basketball games, things like that. So now that you know that you're going to be safe at home, let's talk about how safe you're going to be at your job. Iowa is an agricultural state, but there is still a wealth of jobs. Most jobs in Iowa are in farming, livestock, industry, but some other major ones are insurance, real estate. Any job you can think of, they have in the state of Iowa. In an article released by CNBC dated July 15, 2010, it listed Iowa as the #6 state in the nation for a place to have a business. Also in that same report, it named Iowa as the #1 state in the nation for the cost of operating a business. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate in Iowa is only 6.8. That sounds like a lot, but if you look at it compared to any other state, it's still within the top 10 of the nation for the lowest unemployment rates throughout the entire U.S. So now that your job's safe and you're making good money, let's talk about the cost of living and what you can do with your money. According to top50states.com, the cost of living for Iowa is 11% below the national average. Now you're probably asking yourself, how can Iowa's cost of living be so much lower than the national average? as I told you earlier with the industry and stuff, it's an agricultural state. So a lot of people have their own gardens and stuff like that, so they're able to grow fruits and vegetables, so they don't have to go to the store and pay for that stuff. And also, anything that you can think that you would need in the state of Iowa, it can be grown or raised in the state itself. So we don't need to import anything, which raises the prices. So it keeps prices low and things like that. Means you're saving some money with the cost of living being so low. Let's talk about a central location, how you'll be able to do lots of traveling. Iowa is geographically centered between the east and the west coast, and pretty close to centered between the north and the south. So you can either go to the east coast or the west coast. It's the same distance either way. In an interview that I conducted with Gene Furman, who's my grandpa, who's lived in Iowa for 87 years, he says that's one of the best things about living in Iowa. He says whenever he'd make my grandma mad, he could always take her on a trip, whether she wanted to go to the east coast, to the west coast, even threatened to deport her to Canada if he wanted to, or take her down to Mexico where it's warm during the winter. Lastly, I'm going to tell you guys about the 4 seasons in Iowa and how great they are. The beginning of the year, spring, starts in about April, going through June. The weather's super nice. Everything turns green, smells great. There's all sorts of stuff to do. You can go out, you can go hiking, you can go fishing, boating, anything like that. The summers, they're always super nice, not too hot, just right for temperature-wise. Good for going out on the lake, fishing, camping, anything outdoors you can do in Iowa. In the fall, there's lots and lots of trees in Iowa, really big trees, beautiful trees. And you know, in the fall, the leaves on the trees all change colors, such beautiful colors. You can walk through the parks. The weather is beautiful then too. Then the winter is probably a lot of people's least favorite because it gets cold and it snows. But a lot of people like the snow, so you can go snowmobiling, ice fishing, snowboarding, any kind of sports that you can think of that you can do. The great thing about Iowa is you get all 4 seasons. It's not like the South where you guys are from, where you get hot and hotter, or in Alaska where you're from, where it's cold, colder. These are just a few of the great reasons why you guys would want to move to the state of Iowa. So let's recap about some of the things I told you about. I told you about Iowa's great education system and how they're consistently in the top 10 in the nation for schools. We talked about Iowa's low crime rates and how they compare to many of the other states, as you can see from the handout that I gave you guys. I talked about the job and the wealth of them that there is in the state of Iowa, and how you can do anything that you'd like to do, you can find in the state of Iowa. The cost of living is super low, so you'll be able to save money. It's centrally located, so it's an ideal place for travel, and you'll get all 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. I'm going to leave you guys with a quote that I also got from my interview with Eugene Furman. He says, "Iowa, I can't imagine living anywhere else." Thanks.